Beat It was never about music. That's the part history quietly edits out. When the song was released, it wasn't treated as art. It was treated as a risk calculation, a high-stakes gamble made by an industry that didn't fully trust Michael Jackson, didn't understand him, and wasn't ready for what he represented. Today, Beat It feels inevitable. At the time, it was anything but. In the early 1980s, Michael Jackson wasn't the untouchable icon people remember. He was successful, yes, but success didn't equal security. The industry still saw him as fragile. Too young-looking. Too polished. Too black for certain doors. Too unconventional for safe bets. The rules of pop music and television were rigid, and breaking them came at a cost. The gamble wasn't just releasing a rock-leaning track from a black pop artist. It was what came with it. Beat It required Michael Jackson to step into territory the industry actively discouraged. Rock radio. White audiences. MTV. Spaces that had quietly decided who belonged and who didn't. This wasn't a creative experiment. It was a confrontation with gatekeepers who controlled visibility, rotation, and credibility. And then there was the video. Music videos at the time were promotional extras. Disposable. Cheap. Nobody bet reputations on them. Beat It did the opposite. It placed Michael Jackson into a violent narrative, surrounded by real gang members, stripped of the child star comfort the industry preferred to sell. No cartoon innocence. No Motown safety net. If it failed, it wouldn't just fail quietly, it would confirm every doubt executives already had about him. Behind closed doors, the fear wasn't subtle. What if audiences rejected him? What if MTV refused rotation? What if radio stations refused the crossover? What if the video damaged his image instead of elevating it? The industry didn't ask these questions publicly, but they shaped every conversation. And Michael Jackson knew what was at stake. This wasn't rebellion. It was leverage. By betting everything on Beat It, he forced the system into a corner. Either accept the risk or expose the barriers it pretended didn't exist. Success would change the rules. Failure would lock him out permanently. That's what made Beat It dangerous. Not the sound. Not the dance. Not the leather jacket. It was dangerous because it challenged who was allowed to gamble and who was expected to play it safe. At the moment Beat It entered the world, Michael Jackson wasn't rewriting history. He was risking being erased by it. The industry likes to pretend the gamble paid off instantly. It didn't. Before Beat It worked, it hovered in a dangerous in-between space, visible, controversial, and fragile. MTV hadn't yet committed. Rock radio hadn't fully opened the door. And executives were watching closely, not celebrating, but waiting to see if this would justify pulling back. The problem wasn't the song itself. It was what success would imply. If Beat It crossed over, it would expose the unspoken rules the industry had lived by for years. Rules about race. About genre ownership. About who was allowed to appear aggressive, serious, or authoritative on screen. A black pop artist leading a rock-coded narrative and being accepted would mean the gatekeeping had never been about taste. It had been about control. That is why the pressure around the video intensified as release approached. Nothing about it felt safe. Real gang members were used to create authenticity, not aesthetics. The set wasn't sterile. The tension wasn't staged. This wasn't Hollywood violence softened for comfort, it was raw enough to make executives nervous. One wrong interpretation, one misstep, and the entire persona built around Michael Jackson could fracture. And there was no backup plan. If the video failed, the industry wouldn't call it a bold experiment. It would label it proof. Proof that crossing genres was a mistake. Proof that certain doors were closed for a reason. Proof that Michael Jackson should stay where he was, controlled, predictable, contained. When MTV finally rotated the video, it wasn't an embrace. It was a test. Limited exposure. Careful monitoring. A wait-and-see approach dressed up as opportunity. The industry didn't celebrate the risk. It measured the damage. But something unexpected happened. Audiences didn't flinch. They leaned forward. The tension, the violence, the confrontation, it didn't repel them. It redefined what Michael Jackson could be. Not just a performer, but a presence that demanded attention without permission. And once that happened, the system lost its leverage. Because now the gamble had proof. Beat It didn't just succeed, it forced compliance. Radio adjusted. Television followed. Executives reframed their doubts as foresight. The same industry that hesitated rewrote the story to make the outcome look intentional. As if this had always been part of the plan. It wasn't. The reality is simpler and more uncomfortable. Beat It worked because Michael Jackson absorbed all the risk personally. His image, his credibility, his future were the collateral. The industry didn't protect him during the gamble. It protected itself. And once the gamble paid off, the rules changed, but only because someone had already survived breaking them. Michael Jackson didn't win control with Beat It. He bought it at a price few artists are ever allowed to pay. After Beat It, the industry no longer questioned Michael Jackson's value. But it also no longer questioned how that value would be used. That is the part usually left out. The gamble didn't end when the song succeeded. It escalated. Because once the system saw that risk could be monetized, it stopped asking whether Michael Jackson should keep taking it and started expecting him to do it again. And again. On a larger scale. With higher stakes. Beat It taught the industry something dangerous: audiences would follow Michael Jackson anywhere. Across genres. Across racial lines. Across formats that were previously considered impossible. And when an industry learns that, it doesn't slow down. It accelerates. The freedom Michael Jackson appeared to gain came with new conditions. Bigger productions. Bigger spectacles. Bigger expectations. Every next project had to justify the precedent Beat It had set. There was no return to safety, because safety no longer generated the same attention. Risk had become part of the brand. This is where control quietly shifted. Michael Jackson wasn't just an artist anymore. He became the solution to multiple industry problems at once: declining MTV ratings, rigid genre boundaries, stagnating pop formulas. Each success reinforced the idea that he could carry the weight of systemic change by himself. And that weight was never redistributed. The irony is that Beat It is remembered as a breakthrough that opened doors for others. But for Michael Jackson, it narrowed the path forward. Once he proved he could survive the gamble, he was no longer allowed to step away from it. The stakes followed him. The pressure escalated. The margin for error disappeared. The system didn't ask whether this level of exposure was sustainable. It didn't ask what constant escalation would cost him. It didn't need to. The gamble had already shown results, and results justify everything. Beat It wasn't about music. It was about proving that a single artist could be pushed beyond every existing boundary and still deliver. Michael Jackson paid that price long before the public noticed. Because when the industry stops seeing risk as danger, someone becomes the place where all risk is deposited. And after Beat It, that place was Michael Jackson himself.